Hello, everyone, and welcome to Verizon Network Fleet's Top 3 Tactics to Master Fleet Maintenance webinar. I'm Janet Turley, and I lead the webinars here at Verizon Network Fleet. I'll be your moderator today, taking your questions for the presenter throughout the broadcast so they may address them during our question and answer session. As we wait for everyone to join the webinar, I'll just cover a few housekeeping items. Today's webinar is scheduled for approximately 30 minutes and includes a question and answer session at the end. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the webinar. You may do so by entering a question using the questions button within the webinar player. Also within your webinar player, should you wish to view this presentation in full screen or modify the volume, you can find those controls in the bottom right corner. If you'd like to download the slides from today's presentation, you can access those as well as other related documents from the attachments button. And if you miss any part of today's presentation, this webinar will be made available for on-demand viewing within minutes of the conclusion. And with that, our presenter today is Brian Madden of Verizon Network Fleet. Brian's a fleet telematics expert with over 30 years of technology experience specializing in telecommunications and fleet management. In his role, he's responsible for educating and delivering telematics technology to improve business operations. And with that, Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Janet, for that introduction, and thank everyone for joining us today. Happy Thursday to everyone. As Janet mentioned, our topic today is the top 3 tactics to master fleet maintenance. We're going to talk about that today. Oftentimes with a GPS or a locational, people focus on the locational capabilities of a GPS fleet management system and really overlook the fleet maintenance impact it can have, and hopefully we'll cover the topics today to help you master that. Let's go ahead and get started. Can you easily answer this question? Do you know what maintenance is costing you? There's no reason to let maintenance consume your fleet management efforts, whether talking cost containment and staying within budget, or thinking about vehicle uptime and productivity. Technology becomes more sophisticated across vehicle class. The skills and parts to maintain them are becoming more expensive. As all of you probably seen, in some cases it takes parts longer to service and requires the need for electronic diagnostics, whereas the older counterparts did not. You tie that in with skilled technician shortage, and all this means maintenance can be difficult to manage. But just as technology becomes more sophisticated, so does the software to help you with your vehicles. A more sophisticated fleet management system means the ability to provide maintenance management solutions and allow your organization to focus on the job at hand and not necessarily on oil and tire changes. Let's talk about our agenda. So we're going to talk about 3 main areas: the power of preventive maintenance, capturing an accurate picture of maintenance needs, how to streamline maintenance and labor costs. We're going to add a bonus topic in here on lessening wear and tear. And we're also going to add what better maintenance brings to your fleet. We're going to cover these topics, and we're also going to share some customer results associated with them. The first one, gain more preventative maintenance power. The power of preventive maintenance. Engine diagnostic codes, commonly referred to as DTC alerts, put more power behind your maintenance efforts. By monitoring the fleet of your vehicles at all times, you can see active DTC alerts. This information includes engine functions like battery voltage, coolant temperature, powertrain malfunctions, intake valves, oxygen sensors, and more. By receiving this data, it means you can help get your vehicles into service before a major repair is needed or breakdown occurs. You can also proactively plan maintenance vehicle schedules to maintain productivity and can even help extend the life of your vehicles. The return of this, of course, is an increased productivity of on the road and in the shop and an increase in vehicle uptime. I think we all realize what chaos it presents in our day-to-day when a vehicle is out of service and how that impacts the customers and the business. How does that DTC system work? Well, most vehicles have an onboard diagnostic standard called OBD2 for light-duty vehicles. Heavy-duty vehicles use a JBus port, and they both capture engine information. These ports have the capability to diagnose both engine and emission problems. They're also monitored parts such as the chassis, the body, accessory devices, as well as the diagnostic control network of the vehicle. The combination of engine monitoring through these ports and the GPS tracking capabilities was a real breakthrough for the fleet industry. The installed telematics device can read the engine diagnostic information directly from the onboard computer. Each problem has its own specific DTC. As you can see in this slide, the diagnostic trouble code is there. We also provide a plain language on what that actual code means. And as soon as the DTC occurs, the GPS engine monitoring device automatically sends it to the fleet manager or a technician in the form of an alert. You can get notified of the potential problem if the driver fails to report the engine light warning, and in some cases, even before the check engine light comes on. So you have the right information to make a decision on whether that problem needs to be fixed right away, or do you just schedule in your next preventative maintenance when the vehicle comes into the shop or needs to be scheduled for maintenance. Here are some of the common DTC alerts that we see. We have emission problems, cylinder misfires, catalyst issues, air-fuel mixes, fuel sensors. If you think about it, they all influence fuel economy. Most fleet management systems allow you to send the DTC alerts to as few or as many people as desired. So if you want to send them, if you have your own shop, you can send those to the shop technicians. If you use an outsourced provider, you can send those to just the DTC alerts to them as well. They can be sent by email, text, through standard or scheduled or on-demand reporting. Let's look at a case study. So here are some real numbers. This customer's challenge was they had, in the face of shrinking budgets and rising fuel costs, they needed a way to lower maintenance and repair costs. Does that sound familiar? Well, in this example, a government fleet installed telematics on 82 vehicles. Not long after implementation, a DTC alert allowed city mechanics to diagnose a problem over the phone and make repairs on site. This ability allowed the city to save on costs by handling the services internally. And it actually paid for the entire first year of investing in the service. Combining fuel savings and lowered maintenance costs, the city is recouping about $15,000 annually. Here's another example. And this customer's challenge was with their maintenance problems and high repair costs, it began to cut into their bottom line, and they needed a way to improve maintenance processes and extend the vehicle life. So this was actually a construction fleet servicing several states up in the Pacific Northwest, and they were struggling to get drivers to pay attention to their engine alerts. And I'm sure this is a common challenge that we see when you have branch facilities or remote locations or even take-home drivers. But with the service tracking and the DTC alerts, there's no longer need to really micromanage the drivers to ensure the vehicles were getting the proper preventive maintenance. And after just a few months, the company began to see that the fleet management system was already paying off. They lowered idle times, and they also saw a reduction in aggressive driving habits. Our second topic that we wanted to talk about was gaining a more accurate picture of the maintenance needs. Understanding the odometer and engine hour runtime provides an accurate picture of maintenance needs for each vehicle, and its use is captured. You can gain a realistic picture of the wear and tear on your vehicle. You can look at the idling and determine how is that impacting your total engine hours. You can also view data on how the vehicles are used and any harsh driving behaviors that can negatively impact the vehicle life. By just having this information, it gives you the chance to better coach your drivers and reduce these dangerous behaviors. By using driver behavior data from the telematics, you spend less time reacting to incidents and more time getting the job done. Again, your return is reducing the wear and tear, reducing overall maintenance costs, and providing maintenance intervals according to odometer, engine hours, or even calendar functions. Let's look at a case study. So this customer challenge, they needed to control operational costs and streamline the maintenance process, especially in their congested city markets. So in this example, it was a telecommunications and cable fleet, and they began implementing telematics in its more congested service areas. In less than a year, the fleet began to see significant changes to its fleet operation. maintenance, which was a large budget item for this fleet, was one of the first places that they started to see positive impacts. In one case, they actually had data on how a driver used a vehicle, and it actually meant being able to show the auto manufacturer that the engine failure on that vehicle was not really based upon the driver's behavior and high RPM and aggressive driving that actually caused it. It was actually other engine information data. And since this vehicle was still under warranty, the vehicle was repaired by the manufacturer at no cost to the fleet. Without this data, the fleet would not have been able to prove that the engine failure was not the driver's fault. It's a great example of the power of diagnostics. Here's another example that we have. This actually happens to be a government fleet. They needed a way to track preventive maintenance and get more transparency of what was going on with their vehicles from a DTC alert. So this is actually a government fleet in California, and they were able to reduce its yearly smog check cost by installing the product across its fleet of sedans, police vehicles, and light-duty trucks. Since Verizon Network Fleet is connected directly to that OBD2 port, it means that we can monitor the oxygen sensors and other components that control the emissions. And so this allows the government agency to enroll in the California Continuous Testing Program. With this program, vehicle data is automatically reported and the fleet is exempt from having to perform routine smog checks. That's going to save approximately $50 per vehicle, and this customer saved in excess of $3,500 annually by just enrolling in this program. So not only is the fleet able to make repairs before it fails a smog check, it's able to streamline the entire process. And needless to say, this fleet quickly gained an ROI from deploying the product. Now, while the continuous testing program is specific to California, if you live in an area where emissions testing is required, just having the ability to validate that the vehicle is going to pass prior to taking it in is saving companies time and money and energy and effort, because if they fail it, then they have to go out and get the vehicle repaired anyway and also bring in to be retested. Let's look at our third topic that we wanted to talk about, and that is streamlining maintenance. So I want to look at, how can I capture all my service records? I might have multiple providers. I might outsource some of my maintenance. I might have some of it in-house. Well, you now have one place where it can provide all that information for you in one place. This can eliminate the tedious paperwork. It also gives you better control over scheduling, as well as provide increased visibility and flexibility. So whether you're operating locally, regionally, or nationally, by having different vehicles serviced at different places, at different locations, and different services every time, you can consolidate that with the life cycle management reporting. By electronically tracking the service, regardless of the provider, maintenance provider, fleets can have better control over scheduling. Scheduling control can mean a better look at maintenance intervals. An example would be engine runtime, odometer, or calendar scheduling. This data can give you confidence on the information that they need. And in one particular example, a fleet had made some changes from extending their oil change intervals. They were able to see that, hey, based upon engine runtime, they did not have to bring in their vehicles as frequently to change oil. But then on the opposite end, we've had customers have been able to make decisions on severe use vehicles and bringing them in more frequently from a maintenance standpoint. Let's look at a couple case studies here. So this customer's challenge was they needed a way to cut costs to stay competitive. Sound familiar? Well, this is a trucking company that was operated in the Midwest, and they were performing much of their own maintenance, but they wanted to lower their vehicle repair costs and reduce breakdowns and repairs when they were out on the road. By having the service repair data connected to the actual truck and routing data, the management was better able to schedule vehicles for their PMs around the routes. And by reducing the repair costs, in addition to reining in fuel costs, they even recovered a stolen vehicle. This particular company saw $200,000 in savings just within the first year. Another example is another trucking fleet, and they wanted to control costs while actually expanding the business. This is a regional trucking company, and they were going to expanding into long-haul services, but they also wanted to make sure they had control over their costs, visibility over where the trucks were, no matter where they were located. So using the GPS tracking system with the engine diagnostic capabilities, the fleet was able to reduce roadside breakdowns. By getting vehicles into service on time, no matter how far away they were from home, it helped them, the company, expand, and then also ensured that they ran more efficiently by knowing where they were, that the vehicles were up and operating, and they were able to reduce late deliveries as part of their operations. So number 4, I think this is our bonus topic on how you can help lessen vehicle wear and tear. So by better managing vehicle routing to reduce miles driven and tune us in between, by having the fleet management system that will help assist in reducing overall mileage impact, it can extend the vehicle life and provide visibility into vehicle utilization. You can compare miles driven, idle, stops, and MPG as an example. Simply put, everyone realizes that, hey, fewer miles driven means there's less wear and tear on your vehicle. Less wear and tear has a direct impact on maintenance costs, the life of the vehicle, and even the vehicle resale value. An example here is the U.S. Department of Transportation states that tires can account for up to 36% of a fleet maintenance expense. So if you drive fewer miles, it means you're going to replace your tires less often. Let's look at a couple of returns. We already talked about less wear and tear and the direct impact there, and the longer life can help with not purchasing new vehicles as frequently. Let's look at a couple case studies. So this customer's challenge was they needed a way to control rising repair costs on heavily used EMS vehicles. So this is a government fleet, and they were becoming concerned at the rising fuel and repair costs on their emergency vehicles. So they started taking advantage of the routing capabilities that were provided to them, as well as the other vehicle tracking alerts like speed. And the fleet was able to reduce vehicle wear and tear. They directly linked this to maintenance, and actually they had fewer brake replacements. The fleet was able to repair brakes every 8 months instead of 5. And this resulted in an annualized savings of over $1,300. In addition to another $5,000 in cost savings from items such as fuel, the fleet estimates that it recouped investment within the first 6 months of its implementation. Another example of lessening wear and tear on vehicles is this utility fleet. So they needed a way to work within a lowered budget, and they wanted to extend their vehicle life to keep the vehicles longer. This was actually a water and wastewater services agency. They wanted to see what efficiencies that they could increase by installing telematics across the fleet. The first 6 months, they saw a major reduction in miles driven, over 165,000 fewer miles. This reduction in miles contributed significantly to the agency reducing wear and tear, and it even extended the vehicle life. You know, if I reduce my miles 165,000, that's going to impact my fuel purchase. It's going to impact my tires, and additional just wear and tear on the vehicle itself. And they also saw an overall increase in job productivity, as being that they were a utility in water and wastewater industry. They were also looking at the impact that they had on the environment, so they realized they had fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and there was other savings in there as well. All this contributed over hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings for this one particular customer. So what does better maintenance bring? You know, there's a host of other benefits associated with it. You know, the Department of Energy cites that fixing a car that is out of tune or has failed an emissions test can increase a vehicle's MPG by 4%. If I fix a faulty oxygen sensor, it can mean increasing fuel mileage by up to 40%. By monitoring and keeping tires properly inflated, it can mean a 3.3% improvement. You know, there's all kinds of different ways to improve your efficiency of your fuel through better maintenance. Well, here are 7 ways a fleet management product can help you realize additional benefits. Well, we talked about fuel efficiency and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. you can take advantage of vehicle downtime reporting and utilization to get a better understanding of what's going on in your business. How are my vehicles being used? You can improve productivity in the shop as well as with maintenance providers by knowing what's wrong before it even comes into the facility. So you have your parts and your schedule set up for so when that vehicle comes in, you can have it repaired or adjusted and get it back out in the field earning money and doing jobs for you. You can keep vehicle uptime maximized and improve overall operational efficiencies. Everyone realizes the chaos that, hey, if I have a vehicle out of service, what chaos does that bring to my fleet in jobs and rescheduling and employee time? Of course, you want to maintain a safe vehicle for your employees, and also it will help you stay in compliance with vehicle inspections. If you do fuel and mileage reporting, that is applicable to your fleet. That will assist you as well. Another way to look at it is with a fleet maintenance system, you're able to close the loop on operational costs where possible. With Verizon Network Fleet, you can lower costs and streamline the maintenance process with our GPS tracking and engine monitoring system. We have a preventative maintenance program called Lifecycle Service Management, and that can help you keep your vehicles well maintained and in top running condition. You can schedule routine maintenance with set reminders. You can get vehicle health alerts through the diagnostics, and all this will help reduce paperwork, lower your repair costs, and extend the life of your vehicles. These are the easy ways that you can improve your fleet maintenance system. I want to thank you for your time. That ends the topic of today's topic of the top 3 tactics to master fleet maintenance. I'm going to turn it over to Jana for any questions.
Thank you, Brian. Before we jump into the question and answer session, I'd like to cover just 2 items here fairly quickly. First, your feedback is important to us, so please take a minute to rate our webinar. You can do this by selecting the rate button within your webinar player. And then last, the recording of today's webinar will be available for your viewing shortly after we finish here today. So now let's open it up for Q&A. Brian, the first question that we have for you is, do you offer driver identification for fleets that have multiple drivers accessing the same vehicle?
Thank you, Janet. Yes, we do. We have a driver ID program. We provide a key fob that the driver would swipe in when they enter the vehicle, and that would automatically register that driver to that vehicle for that particular period of time.
Thanks, Brian. The next question that we have here for you is, do all fleet management solutions provide DTC alerts?
I can't speak of all fleet management solutions. I know that there are some companies that you plug into the OBD2 port. That OBD2 port actually, besides providing engine information, it also provides power to the devices. Some companies are just using it to power their device and are not actually getting the DTCs to be provided, but they will say, hey, I'm using the OBD2 port, but they're not getting the DTCs to send out to you. So, tough question. From a competitive standpoint, I know that we do.
Thanks, Brian. The next question that we have here is there a best practices template available to help us get started forming good habits regarding fleet management? I've set alerts, but having trouble staying on top of the vehicle management.
I believe we have some support documents with that. For that question, I would ask that they talk to their account representative, and they will be able to provide some of that information to them.
Sure, we'll be sure to do that. The next one we have here for you, Brian, is what features are available to help with maintenance planning?
So one of the functions of the system that we have is almost software. It's almost like software within the software. It's what we call lifecycle service management, where you can set up maintenance reminders based upon a variety of different scenarios. You can base it upon odometer value, You can base it upon engine hours. You can base it upon a calendaring function. So you could say, hey, for this vehicle or for this group of vehicles, I want to bring them in for an oil change, as an example, every 7,000 miles. And so you can set up that alert, and you could be alerted yourself or even the driver. If they're a remote driver, you can say, hey, 200 miles before he gets to 7,000, I want to basically be able to get that engine, that information, so I can schedule it to bring it in and have that scheduled to make that oil change. So you can do that based upon engine hours. You can do that based upon odometer, and you can also just do it as a calendaring function. And we have some companies that say, hey, you know what, I just want to make sure every 30 days that the vehicle is being washed. And so you can set up a calendaring function so they were alerted to say, hey, you know what, get your vehicle washed, because we want to make sure that we're providing a good public image out there in the community.
Thank you. Can a fleet management system track gas emissions?
Ours can. So since we are plugged in that OBD2 port, we do capture emissions. We actually have a greenhouse gas report that can provide that information on the emissions that you have there. We also have and I think I referenced it in here, where we have an emissions report that you can, if you're in a market where if you operate in an area where you're required to do emissions testing, you can run a report, and it will tell you whether your vehicles are going to pass or fail. So if they're going to fail, you can get them fixed beforehand, as well as that will help impact the emissions that you're providing out there into the environment.
Thank you. And then does a fleet management solution offer roadside service assistance?
Yeah. So we do provide roadside service on a set of our devices out there, so that we have a plan that customers can automatically subscribe to, and they will do things like tow, winch out, fuel delivery. If the driver gets locked in, they'll pop the lock, do a battery jump, those types of things. So yes.
Perfect. Thank you. This next question's a two-parter. The first part is, how long is the data stored? And the second part is, and how far back can I access the data?
Okay, great question. So we keep the data on our system for a year. So if you wanted to pull back 365 days, so if you wanted to go back, to July 25th of 2015, you would be able to pull that information from a reporting standpoint. Data after that point, over a year, we basically put everything on a daily basis. We take everything, we store it. So if you have a vehicle that you need to get information from, we are able to pull that from our data storage site, and we keep that indefinitely. And I've been familiar with incidents where maybe there was a issue or an accident or something of that nature happened 3 years ago. No one recalled it. They had it in the system, and the company was able to pull the records and pull the data to help exonerate the driver at that point in time.
All right, thank you. So we have time for one more question. It's based around cost, Brian, and the question is, they're wondering if they have the ability to purchase the units or if you lease them.
So we offer, so it's two different. You have two options. You can either purchase them and have a monthly subscription, or we can do what it's not. I'm looking here. So I think they said lease. We actually do a bundle where we include the hardware, the monthly, the installation, anything that you need. We can all include in one monthly price for you. So two options that you would have.
All right, thank you. I want to ask one more question. This will be the last one. Do you port over data from other systems?
So I port it. So I would ask, so we can we
I'm
can
thinking
take,
of like
so we have
integration.
yeah, so if you're talking integration, so we can send our data over into other systems. We'll take some data into ours, like if you have addresses or landmarks or certain things you want to upload into our system that fit into a routing or a report we can do. I think that question, if the user can send a note to us, or we can follow up directly to further understand what data we're talking about.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you. All right, everyone. So that concludes today's question and answer session as well as the webinar. And Brian, I want to thank you for delivering an educational presentation on how telematics can improve fleet maintenance. And if we were unable to get to your question, or if you have any more that you would like to submit over, we can make sure to have an account manager follow up with you shortly on those. And thank you again, everyone. Have a great day. Brian, if you want to stay on the line.